name is Robert Curlin, and we are coming live from First Free Will Baptist Church, 2433 Barnes Avenue. And today we have a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I'm excited about it. We will be talking about diets and how we eat. And I thought it was important to bring this up because in my own personal life, I noticed that in our community, food is very important to our day-to-day. When we celebrate with each other, food is one of the major components of that. And basically, it's kind of taboo in our community because we like to eat how we eat, and we really don't want to change it up. The problem with that, though, is that later on we begin to have health problems that a lot of times are directly correlated to what we eat and what we put in our mouths. So after I found this out, I decided, I needed to make some change in my personal life. And this was a process. It took years to get to where I'm at today. And I still have some distance to make up, but I actually, a few years ago, I heard about Minister Deborah Bridgewater, her story. And I thought it was very interesting. I could not believe it when I first heard it. So I kept her in the back of my mind as I did my own journey, and I just said to myself, if I ever am given the opportunity, I want to make sure I talk to her. And not just me, I felt like the knowledge that she has would be great for the church in general. So with that, I'd like to introduce my guest, Minister Bridgewater, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
All right then, I'm Deborah Bridgewater. At one time I was the youth pastor here at First Free Will, and I'm just happy to be here. I was really surprised. I don't remember any young people being at that presentation, and so when I was approached by Robert, I was really, really honored that, it had such an impact, especially on someone that was young.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let's get to it.
Okay.
My first question to you is, what started you on this plant-based journey?
I began the plant-based journey because I was diabetic, and I had a visit to my doctor, and at that time my numbers were just out of control. And he had said to me that they were going to increase my insulin, add another shot, and give me another pill. And I looked straight at him and said, that's not going to work. And so anyway, I went home and took to my bed and talked to God. 2014, my mother died. Her last words to me was, Debbie, go home, take care of yourself. And at that point, I felt like I was failing. So since I was failing, I was ready to go. And so I took to my bed and would not eat and just laid there. And while I was laying there, I picked up my computer, and there was a series that came on. And I actually listened to it. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing and what I was seeing. And so I made a pact with God. If this is going to work, I'm going to try it. If not, if it fails, I'm ready to go. And so I started plant-based. We call it whole food plant-based way of life. And it was just a way of eating. And I thought it was very easy to do because it was closest to what I was used to eating. I was raised in a family where we had meat, but it was, not a whole lot. I was raised in a family, we ate vegetables all the time. And so, it was closest to that. I had already stopped eating meat some years before because of health issues. So I didn't have to go through the struggle of getting rid of meat out of my diet, but I love cheese. And so the thought of just actually giving up the cheese. But when you're faced with a situation, for me, it was a life or death situation, or it was accepting something that I knew that I would not keep to. I was not going to take any more medicine. That just was not going to happen. I made the choice to do it. So everything that was not on that list, basically my rule was, if it didn't come out of the ground, it didn't go into my mouth. And I took out everything, all flours and everything. And if it, like I said, wasn't on that list, then it wasn't there, and I went shopping.
I heard you mention some of your health issues that you had before you started the journey. Where are you at with that? I heard you say diabetes.
I am no longer a diabetic. My A1C is 5.3. I cannot believe I wake up and my blood sugars are in their 80s and 90s. And I just can't believe it. And on top of that, I've lost close to 60 pounds. So.
Okay. That's crazy. But you said diabetic. Now I know there's type 1 and type 2. Which one were you?
Type 2.
Type 2. Okay, so that's no insulin.
No insulin.
Oh, okay.
No, type 1 is when your body does not produce insulin.
Okay.
Type 2, you still produce insulin, but your body, most of the time, we're insulin resistant, which means that our body creates the insulin, but for some reason it cannot go into the cells and to do what it needs to do. So if you take insulin, you're already creating insulin, but then you take insulin, so you have more insulin in your system, trying to shove some of it into the cells to be used. So.
Okay, I got you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I brought this up to different people, and there's always a challenge to actually commit to this, right?
Yes.
So I heard you say meat, because that would be my biggest challenge, was
Okay.
getting rid of chicken and turkey, and that was my biggest challenge. But for you, since meat wasn't the biggest challenge, what was your biggest challenge or obstacle?
My biggest challenge was cooking. I don't like to cook. And when you're doing plant-based, that means that you have to get up and you have to prepare your meals. You're cooking. And it was not only cooking, it was also the prep that went. That's what drove me crazy, was the prep. And then when you're using all fresh vegetables, you can't go to the store and go shopping and think you're going to have it for a week or two. That's not going to happen. So I was literally at the store every 2 days, buying fresh produce and things. So for a person who did not like to cook, to have to go to the point where I'm just actually chopping up everything and then doing meal preps and having them, that was the biggest challenge. The other problem was I hated to see people go to, would invite me over, and then it was kind of like, well, what can I cook for you, And I just always felt like it was an inconvenience for them to try to think of what they could cook for me. Well, can I put this in there and stuff? And so it kind of like separated me. I separated myself from social gatherings because I didn't want to be an imposition on people, feeling like that they had to fix something for me.
Right. Mm-hmm. I got a question. Excuse me. I was, when they told me I was a diabetic, it scared me because I don't know nothing about it. That's why I want to ask you a question. So when I went back less than a year, she was proud of me. I didn't have it no more. So my question is, what is I'm taking a shot every Monday for? What is that?
What are you taking?
I can't pronounce it.
Manjaro?
Yes.
Okay then. You're taking it because it's not insulin, but it continues to help your body do what it was supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
You were still producing insulin, and you were probably insulin resistant. It's not insulin that they're giving you. They're giving you something that continues to help your body do what it is supposed to do.
So my understanding, the pills was first, right? Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't take that. I couldn't take those pills.
I was taking the pills at first, and like I said, I did it good. And when they took me off, I panicked. I don't know why. I think I fell in love with these pills. I didn't know, but yeah, it changed me. It did a lot of change in my body. You can feel it. And yeah, that was my concern.
You feel better too, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm faithful with that shot every Monday, but I was just saying, what was the difference from the pills? What you say?
The pills, I don't know which pill you were on, but I know that Manjaro helps.
Metformin.
Yeah, metformin. I could never take that, but anyway,
Okay.
I'm not sure what actually metformin did, but I know that Mounjaro
Okay.
is not insulin. It helps your body do what it wanted to always do.
Mhm.
And then it keeps that level of the hormone in your system.
Okay.
But also you notice that, it also helps your stomach release food slowly. You stay fuller longer. Another thing I know about Mounjaro is it has the ability to protect your heart.
Mm.
That's
Interesting.
most of the time, yes. There's something in there that also helps with your heart. So it's it has actually been a welcome addition to a lot of people who did not want to take insulin, especially for type 2. We're producing insulin. So the earlier we can get back to or find something that can help
Mhm.
your body to do what it wants to do anyway.
Okay.
There's an interaction between your pancreas and your I can't remember the other, liver, I guess. But anyway, there's an interaction. So if you can restore that balance, it will actually do what it was supposed to do.
I thank you.
Oh, you.
Sister.
Oh, I'm happy for you. Listen, I tell people all the time, it's one of the things that I would never wish on anyone to be a diabetic. Diabetes is no joke. Oh, I got a little sugar. No, you got more than a little sugar, because it's deadly and it kills you slowly. I can't tell you the number of friends that I know that have lost their eyesight, have lost limbs, and then the inability to really enjoy life. You're tired. It's just so many things that go along with it. But it's not just a little sugar. It really, really impacts your life.
Let me ask you this. How long from when you started plant-based until you had the results to where you were no longer a diabetic?
I couldn't. Well, it took, let me see, it took probably about 6 months when I went back, because I had an A1C, and then when I went back, my A1C had come down by the time my second visit to my doctor. So I guess 6 months to have my A1C done. We were down at that point to 7. That's all I needed to do was to get off from 13.2 down to 7 in 6 months. It was enough to get me off of insulin. And I was strict. And most people can't do that. I'm one of these people, we either gonna do this or we not gonna do it. Now, I do want to say this. I don't suggest going that route to everybody. That's Debbie. I'm either in the water or I'm out the water. I'm either on the left side or I'm on the right. I don't do nothing down the middle of the road. So it was really a drastic change. When I say I literally threw everything out, and then I had a wonderfully supportive husband so that I wouldn't have to cook 2 meals. He cooked his own food. He did his own grocery shopping. All he wanted me to do was to focus on me. That's what he wanted, was to focus on me. So it's so important to have support, because as you said, in our traditions, food is everything. I don't care what it is. We have an argument, we're going to pick up something to be eaten while we arguing, or whatever. But food is part of our traditions, and that's one of the things that when I was working with my care team, I had a care team that included a nutritionist, my own specialty nurse, and my doctor. I had a caseworker, a social worker, who helped me deal with the emotional aspects of making those changes, because you can't believe how much you are attached to food, and then trying to figure out, how do you navigate social settings when you truly know that you want to get better. So everybody else is at the smorgasbord and stuff, and I'm the one that's loading up on all the vegetables. My plate is loaded down with vegetables, and stuff, and people looking at me like, What, do you think anybody else wants anything? I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, you could already have some mashed potatoes and stuff that's gonna stick to you. I gotta, you know. But it gets easier. You have to stay focused. That's one thing I have to tell people. You have to know why you're doing this. You gotta know why. And for me, like I said, it was life or death. It was either stay stuck to some medications, which I know my mama used to always say, you come in the world like that, you didn't want nothing. It was a battle to give me anything. And so I've never liked medication. So it was an easy decision.
It's crazy you say that about how you have to be locked in and committed. And you have to have a reason for why you got started in the first place. Yeah. I remember when I first heard your story a few years ago, right? I don't know if I was there or somebody told me, but I just remember she reversed her diabetes by going plant-based. And I said, man, that's crazy. That's amazing. God is good. And then I had a chicken dinner that day, like that same day, and I said, that's cool, but like you said, that's for her. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until me personally, I saw family members have different health scares, and some of them was more than just a scare. Mm-hmm. And so I learned, like, man, I don't want to be in a situation when I get older where I start having issues and things like that. When now, at the age I'm at now, I could put myself on a road to avoid a lot of that. So I said, okay, I'll cut off, because here's another thing. I feel like to go plant-based is so drastic if you eat a certain way that a lot of us will never be able to be completely plant-based. But we can make a change. So for me, it was, okay, I stopped with pork and red meat. I stopped that maybe 5 years ago. I stopped eating pork and red meat. Then maybe 2 years after that, I was just doing chicken and turkey. So I said, all right, now I'm done with turkey, and I just do chicken, because chicken, the bird was probably the hardest thing for me to give up. It was the hardest thing, was the bird. So then I said, finally, I said, all right, this is it. I'll give up chicken, but I'm not gonna give up fish. So that leads me to where I'm at today. So where I'm fruit, vegetables, and I do fish sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I want to be plant-based, but it's still something holding me back. But I'm proud of the fact that I got started. Like you said, the first step is just to get started and to remember why you started in the first place. So, and I also want to shout out my family, because when they found out I was committed to it, they supported me also. Mm-hmm. So I go over to my mom's house and she'll say, son, can you eat this? Can you eat that? Or I made some beans for you, and I appreciate that, Ma. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So it's good to have people in your corner that support you and that they don't make a big deal about your diet and try to pressure you. Because I've been to that environment too. Like, it's Thanksgiving, you can't have some macaroni. Right, and I'm like, nah, yeah. Relax, But so if anything, I want to, I guess, kind of ask some of the questions that people have asked me. Okay. So one of those questions I hear all the time is protein. If you don't eat meat, how do you get your protein?
Do you eat beans? Listen, it has been shown that Americans eat too much protein. What? We eat too much protein, and too much protein is not good for us. It causes problems too. But there are so many places, and I'm going to look at my notes right fast to make sure that I can tell you exactly where you get your proteins from. I know I like beans, and so I have beans and salads and whatever. But fish, eggs, beans, and nuts are most of the places where you can get it. So if you're still eating fish, you get your protein through that. I know people kept saying that to me, and you need to go and you need to make sure B12 was the other thing. Every time I would go back and have my labs done, everything was perfectly fine. In fact, the longer I was on here, my labs looked better. And so whatever I was eating from the vegetables and the fruit was taking care of everything. But Americans eat too much protein. Mm-hmm. Yes. I have not personally dealt with any, but there were many in my group that were pregnant, and they were plant-based. There were people in that group that had all kind of everything, and they were plant-based, and they were able to do that. There are children who have never had a piece of meat a day of their lives because their parents raised them. You know, they don't know what sugar is. You know, that was kind of like me. I grew up, sugar and salt were not things that were actually in abundance in my home. It was not. My sister and I can literally say we didn't get bad eating habits until we were grown. When we were no longer in my mama's house, we could eat what we wanted to eat. But I have never dealt with that. As far as the fish, that was one of the medical issues I have. I had a low tolerance to mercury. That's when I first took meat out of my diet. I was so sick, I ended up in the hospital. We had no idea what was wrong with me, so they took everything out of my diet. And so we started thinking maybe I was had a gluten intolerance and stuff. And later on, it came back that I literally was having mercury poisoning because I ate fish all the time, and I had a low tolerance to to mercury. And it was building up in my system. And so it took a long time. I can eat fish now. Seafood is still iffy. I eat a little bit of it, but not at first. No, I couldn't eat fish, period, because of the mercury. Mercury is in every form of fish there is. There's mercury in there. But I was literally sick. So, no, I don't know, but I know that it's possible because people were in my group that were pregnant and they were plant-based. But there's no fish if you go through a rigid whole food plant-based diet, there's no fish in there. Literally is if it does not come out the ground, it does not go into your mouth. So literally it was what was grown. It was, beans and nuts. And then the group that I was in, we didn't use any kind of oil either because there was a philosophy that all oils have an effect upon a lining in your heart. So there was no oils also in our diet. It was real strict. So that's probably why I had such drastic results, was because it was just about everything was out of the diet. But and again, I want to say I really don't suggest any kind of diet or modification to the way that you eat that is going to restrict you from anything. I have learned through my journey that the issue is not necessarily all the foods that we eat, is that we don't know anything about portion control. It's portion control. Now, I will admit, I no longer do whole food plant-based. I'm back to my regular eating habits, but I can't eat like I used to. We go buy a meal from a restaurant, and it will literally take me the whole entire day to eat it because I can't eat a whole lot at one time. So it's portion control. But I also still don't eat red meat. I still don't eat I don't eat fried foods. I mean, a lot of the things that I learned along the journey are still part of the way that I eat. I'm still basically vegetarian. I would prefer, vegetables and fruits. We used to eat a pound of salad every day, and that actually is very fulfilling. And I become a chef on when it comes to making a salad. I can make you a salad now, but go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I appreciate this subject right here because I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to try something different, but the plant-based burgers and all that, have you ever tried that? Or is that along the lines that you are changing your diet to? When you go into the grocery store in the frozen area, they have the plant burgers, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the fact that it's plant-based meat, or not meat, or
it's not meat. It's not meat. It's either made out of vegetables or beans. I am not a proponent of anything frozen. I still don't do processed foods.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
because, like I said, I was in a group. If you ever get a chance, there's a group called Forks Over Knives. Their philosophy is if you learn to eat well, then you stay out from underneath the knife. They have meal planning, and they show you how to make everything. I'm gonna tell you, once I learned how to make ketchup, I hate bottled
Did you say ketchup?
Ketchup.
Oh.
Ketchup. We've learned how to make all kind of condiments,
Okay.
you know, and things, you know. But and you learn how to make your own burgers, you know. I don't know if the day that I came down here, I know I bought the chickpea mock tuna. I bought that with me, and I still have friends that come up during the summer and want to know, do I have carrot dogs? You cannot get me to eat a carrot dog today. But, but carrot dogs are my friends' favorite. They love carrot dogs because they taste just like hot dogs.
Now, I want to ask a question real quick about you said eating eggs, but you're not supposed to eat meat. But, you know, I was thinking, well, egg was innocent, but actually egg is a chicken. So.
Well, no, you know why? Well, let's put it this way. In that particular group, there are many different groups when you talk about whole food plant-based that they all have their own set of things that they do. The one that I was in was very regimented. There was nothing in there that did not come out of the ground. But eggs, when I started back this away, eggs was the one thing that I put back in immediately because it includes everything you need. You need to eat the whole egg. Folks talking about just eat the whites. No, you need the yolk. You need the yolk. You need the yolk. And I tell people who have problems with eating early in the morning, fix you 2 eggs. You'll be fine for the rest of the day. They will keep you full, and you really have gotten probably the nutritional values that you need for the day. But you need to eat the whole egg. The whole egg. So that, you know, there's a lot of things that I have learned along this journey, things that I was taught or things that I picked up along the way that I thought was bad for me and you shouldn't do this and everything. But also what I learned is that, you know, those little people who sit in Congress and those little people who sit in different things, they're on somebody's payroll. And that's why we have so much misinformation out there. It's because the lobbyists, listen, when the plant-based milks came out, the dairy industry lost their mind. They lost their mind. And I shared this with Robert. The thing with what America deals with is that we're based on a system that literally requires us consumers to be dumb. You remember, I don't know, the older people remember when Wonder Bread used to have the build your body 12 ways, eat their bread and stuff like that. All those little slogans are to get into your mind. And what I told Robert is they don't care about your health. All they care about is their profits. I don't know if any of y'all heard about the CEO of Kellogg's. He wants you to feed your children cereal at night to help with poverty. That's not the answer to poverty, to give them cereal. All he cares is that he continues to be able to send his children and let his children live well while your children eat sugar cereal. So we have to learn to do forums like this, and we need to learn how do we support each other in community so that we can stop making everybody rich while we're being poor. I retired 10 years ago, and I refused to take my little 401k that I saved all these years, making everybody else rich. I wasn't going to do it. It is expensive to be sick. And pharmaceutical companies and the people that are in charge of the food in this country are all in cahoots. Most of them, they got the same people sitting on the boards if they don't own them. The farms are owned by them, everything. And we have to become wise consumers. And you have to get like I was that day. Either I'm on this side or that side, but I'm not going down the middle of the road. You're not going to kill me in the middle of the road. You're going to have to swerve one way or the other to hit me.
I thought it was interesting you brought up for pharmaceutical companies, because it's almost the medical field in general is like that. I can prove it. I had a family member that was at the hospital not too long ago, and I took a trip to the cafeteria, right? This is at the hospital, right? And I could get a made-to-order double bacon cheeseburger with mozzarella sticks, French fries, and a large Coke at the hospital, you know, where it was supposed to be treating heart disease and diabetes. Right there, I could get that. And so I noticed all of the visitors, they were eating from over there, but I noticed the employees, the nurses, things like that, they had brought stuff from home. And so I said, how is it that, because to me it seemed like the only thing the hospital's missing was cigarettes. I was like, they sell cigarettes, they got everything they need right there, you know? So it's like, if these are the people that have our best interests, how are they helping us while also killing us at the same time? And if that's the case, then why are we listening to those people at all? Oh, and then you said something about the burgers, right? So I was eating the plant-based burgers, and I liked them. I thought they were pretty good. But the thing I'm learning with this is it's levels. There's levels to it. So I found out with the plant-based burgers, a lot of times they put additives, chemicals, a lot of salt in it to get it to last so they can stay frozen. So a lot of times the plant-based burgers are more unhealthy than just a regular hamburger. Yeah, but you know, you wouldn't know that because at the time I was like I had a thing, everything plant-based. So then once I started doing more research, I said even a plant-based, depending on what it is, it could be worse. You might as well eat some meat.
It's all about the dollars. It's all about, when they found out that there was a market and they could be profitable. Look, now you got a little bit of this over here. Now you go down rows and rows of those aisles full of things that are marketed for us who have said, oh, I want to be healthy. I remember when Patty Pies came out and everybody was going crazy over them. I said, those don't taste better than the pies you're going to make at home. Because if Patty got them on a shelf, she had to put something in it for it to ship across the country and sit on that shelf until you buy it. Plant-based diet, I never went down an aisle. Everything I needed was on the perimeter, and it really wasn't the perimeter because the meat was in the back of the store, so it wasn't no need of me going back there. Everything I needed was in that one little section because I didn't buy anything out of a box. I mean, it's just amazing. And for me, who did not like to cook, it really was a daunting task to be able to have to do this. But after a while, hey, I got the gist of this thing of how to do it, and found the different things that I like. And because I was raised on vegetables and fruits, it was not really that difficult. You know, it was just the mindset of saying, I gotta go down here and I'm gonna have to cook everything from scratch, even down to having to make my own ketchup and my own this and my own. I'm just like, this is crazy. Yes, ma'am.
So I felt moved to kind of share my testimony.
Okay.
And 2019, so I think most of y'all know that I was a truck driver. I've been out the truck now for about a year or over a year. And at that time, I was still in the truck. So I know that when winter was approaching 2019, I was looking around and I just looked at most of the men. There were men that are driving. They were ran down. They were broken, you know, like humpbacks and stuff like that. And that's not me just like judging them. That's just me like observing. And I knew like, yo, that's not what I want to look like, you know, even next year, you know, let alone 5 years down the road or whatever. So something just clicked in me to start making minor changes. And so I noticed like being in a truck, you'll stop and you'll eat at the truck stops or something. Or like in my stop when I was in Fort Wayne, I would walk to Subway or Wendy's that was up there. And I said, I need to stop doing that. So long story short, something just clicked in me, and I had learned like about like meal prep.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to buy like glass containers. And I do mean glass instead of plastic, because that gets into our systems as
Right.
well. And so I bought glass containers, and I would start, that's like at the beginning of the week, sauteing my food, like peppers, mushrooms, love mushrooms, onions, kale. And I actually did mine in oil. I did olive oil, or I would do grapeseed oil. And so when I started doing that, people became curious. And we think that we're judged in a way of like, yo, if I eat this way, people don't want to rock with me, whatever. Well, I don't care if anybody want to rock with me, be my friend or not. But most of the time, they would be more interested in how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, and how they can make the change in their life as well. And so, believe it or not, because I learned this at the tail end of 2019, I did not know what was about to happen in 2020. And if y'all remember what happened at the top of 2020, COVID. I learned how to make smoothies and everything. I didn't know that that was going to happen. So I thank God that I did learn that at the tail end of 2019, because me and my kids to this day still have not caught it. We have not caught COVID. I'm able to flush our systems out. Even if we do eat junk from time to time, I know how to make those changes to flush our system out.
Right.
So I just want to share that. Do things in moderation.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, it was I think it was 2019 when I started the Whole Food Plant-Based. By the end of 2020, December 14, 2020, I had a massive heart attack. I went into the emergency room thinking I was having an asthma attack. Kept telling them, all I need is a breathing treatment. All I need is a breathing treatment. And the nurse kept looking at me, and she just kept on doing what she was supposed to do. And next thing I know, I was in an ambulance on my way out to the heart hospital into surgery for open heart surgery. Yeah, had bypass. My doctors to this day, when they see me, just look at me and say, it just was not your time. When I say I literally was holding on by a thread, that was all that was left in my artery, was a thread. That was it. But my cardiologist says that he believes that the change that I made in my diet is one of the reasons why I am also still here. Also still. They still cannot believe that there was no additional damage to my heart. But he said there was that change in my diet, what was enough that kept me strong and kept everything else, because nothing else was affected. Like I said, I was in there dancing around in the emergency room talking about, when y'all gonna bring me a breathing treatment? And that nurse just kept right on going and stuff, and then she wasn't paying nothing and stuff. But as the young lady said, as Robert said, you don't have to dive in all the way. You know, just if you put your foot in. I've got friends, they do 2 weeks out of the month, or they'll do it every other week or something like that. If you just moderately. My one thing is, if you can get red meat out, and that's because it's full of saturated fats, which is not good. If you can get red meat out of your diet, if you can decrease it, if you can just eat smaller portions, there are so many things that you can do. But my main thing is, as I told Robert, is I talk to women when they're pregnant. I talk to women who have young children, or families that have young children. Don't start your children on that route. Have you seen all the dialysis centers we have? Our children are going to be on dialysis at young ages because we're pumping them full of sugar. That's not the child, that's you. That child's not going to the grocery store, you are. Learn to read the nutrition packages. Learn to see what's in there. Make changes. If you won't change it for you, change it for them. Diabetes has been proven to not be because my mama had it, my daddy had it, and my grandma had it. No, you got it because of what you're doing. And the reason why it keeps going from generation to generation is because you still cook like grandma cooked. But you have to understand that when grandma and them was cooking, Grandma and them wasn't sitting there playing the game all day long, wasn't sitting behind a desk. Grandma and them was cleaning somebody else's house. Grandpa was working in a foundry somewhere, so they were moving and they were able to burn that. We're not doing that. We're sitting there and it's burning us. So it does make a difference. Lifestyle, it all goes together. I was walking 5 to 8 miles a day after my blood sugar came down. I mean, and loved it. Everything was doing well until I had the heart attack. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she said now she's not a diabetic anymore. Mm-hmm. And could that be true? Well, yes. It could be. I mean, if she's had the surgery, but, you know, you can also change the way you eat. I mean, I'm not saying it's for everybody. I've got family members that also have had the surgery and everything. I was never overweight enough to get the surgery, and I probably would have never chosen that. But changing the way you eat is the best way to do, because the surgery leaves its own complications also. So, you know, you have to change the way you eat after that. So, you know, there are other changes. But weight has a lot to do with it. I mean, insulin itself will make you gain weight. That's number one. The weight loss, that's the first thing I told my doctor. I'm not taking insulin anymore, so the weight is coming down. That was the first thing I knew. Insulin will make you gain weight. It adds weight to you. So, you know, it's kind of hard if you're a diabetic and you go and you know you're doing everything you have to do. How many had that dawn effect? You know, you didn't have nothing to eat that night and everything was fine. You wake up and your blood sugar is sky high and you're mad because your body's going to do what your body's going to do. And so diabetes is difficult to manage. And so we have to learn that all of this works together. I like what David said in Psalms. He talked about how he was fearfully and wonderfully made, but I bet you David had no clue how we were made, to the depth. I learned that the liver is an organ that will repair itself over time if we do right. If we do right, it will do that. And the liver plays a great part of what goes on with diabetes. So, you know, we have to learn to talk. We have to learn to share what works and what does not work. I by no means will push whole food plant-based the way that I did it on anyone. But I think it's something that people need to consider and look at. You will be surprised just how close it is. When I travel to the Caribbean, I love going. That's the only place that I can go and eat. Why? Because they have a lot of plant-based foods. I go there, that's the stuff. And I said, they deposit us everywhere. And when you look at everybody else, how they still eat, American blacks, the only ones that are eating all this poor food. Nutrition, we have to look at. It's not so much diet as much as understanding nutrition and how our bodies work and what they need. So this has become a passion for me. It's because I'm like you. I hate to look out and see us sick. I hate to see us look so poor. I hate to go to the pharmacy and see us lined up shelling out money that we don't have. We can't fix a window in our house, but we got money to go and buy some pills. We got to go see the doctors. And knowing that these people don't really care about us. I was sick when that CEO said that feed your children some cereal. Eat cereal for dinner. That's his solution to poverty.
Let me ask you this, because I know we're talking about money.
Mm-hmm.
I know to change your diet to be more plant-based is time-consuming. But would you say it's also expensive?
No. When I go to the store now and I look in that meat case, I'm like, I say, thank you, Jesus. The day I coughed up $16 for a pack of hamburger, do you know how many vegetables I can buy for that? Do you know how many farmer markets there are? Do you know how much land I got in the back of my backyard? And I ain't ashamed to say it. I get a little commodity box every month. Thank God. I mean, I've lived long enough, you know, where they give me a little something because of my age. And I ain't too ashamed to take it either. I had some of the best strawberries and oranges the other day. I couldn't afford to pay for them, I know. But there are so many things out there. What they have out there, I go get. I sure do. You know, I had some good kale the other day and had some spinach, and it's all fresh when I get it and everything. So, no, it's not really, it is not. It is cheaper. It really is cheaper. When you learn that you're meal, like she said, meal prep along the way and stuff, 4 or 5 meals and stuff and everything. When I look at these people buy these box meals and these frozen meals and stuff, I'm saying, I cannot believe that you're paying $5 for a frozen meal when then it's not even $3 worth of celery in there, or $2 worth of carrots in there. You know how many meals you can chop up and put in a bag for 5 or 6 meals? It's cheaper. It's cheaper. And I'm going to tell you, when you do it, it's going to taste better. Because all of those additives and preservatives that they put in there, they're just to keep them fresh. They don't make the food taste better. Yes, ma'am.
This one, I've been diabetic 30 years.
Okay.
I got off of insulin maybe 6 or 7 years ago after being on insulin the whole time.
Wow.
What I started doing is, watching my proportions, but I also exercise
Yes.
4 times, 5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
I lift weights, I do taekwondo, and that had really helped because I probably lost 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't laugh. But I think exercise is really good for everybody.
It is.
Yeah, you have to force yourself to do it, but once you get in what I'm trying to say, yeah,
In that mode.
you know,
Routine.
you'll feel funny if you didn't do it, you
Yes.
know. But exercise when you have diabetes is really, really helpful, along with food, watch
Yes.
what you eat, don't eat big portions. Because I still not changed my diet. Some things I don't eat, but it's all about proportion.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yes. Congratulations. Yes. It can be done, and that's one thing I always stress. It's mindset. Usually the biggest obstacle is you. It's you. I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. This costs too much. It's you. You're the biggest obstacle. When I think about the story of David and Goliath, I always think of the problem was not that Goliath was really that big, because David sat there and said, but you got a weakness, and I see it. And he hit him straight in his weakness. Everything is girded up and all covered, but he hit him right in the forehead. That was the only thing that was uncovered. All of us have a weakness. And if we could just knock that little one part down, you'd be surprised the things that you can accomplish. But you can't do it when you feel bad, when you're sick, when you're tired, when you're whatever and stuff. You can't enjoy the life. One of my favorite scriptures, Jesus said, I came to give you life, and I come to give you that more abundantly. I began to look at my life. I cannot enjoy the abundant life if I'm sick. If I'm not, and then so that means that he has gotten something for me, and I can't receive it. I can't enjoy it. I want that life. Everything around me tells me that they don't want me to have an abundant life. They don't want me to enjoy life. I ain't the one. If Jesus said I can have it, it's mine. It's mine. So my thing is, learn about nutrition, make the changes that you can make. Even if it's small, make it. Make it. I started off walking a half a mile when I was up to 8 miles, and like she said, missed my 8-mile walks. If somebody had told me because I was in the Army, when I left there, I kept running. Then after a while, I was having problems with my knees. My doctor said, we won't have to do these shots if you stop running. I stopped running, I stopped walking, I stopped doing a whole lot of things. And then I got fat. But the thing of it is, you feel better. You feel better. The most expensive thing for me with this whole journey has been having to buy new clothes.
It's a good problem to have, right?
Well, I don't know, but that, and I mean, I'm gonna brag. I went from a size 22, 24 down to an 8, 10. I was happy as can be. I was happy as it be. Them 22, 24 is still in the closet just in case in case something goes south. But anyway, go north. But anyway, that was the biggest expense I had, was to have to buy brand new clothes. That was it. That was the biggest expense. Go ahead.
Okay, I think we have about 10 minutes left. So let me ask you this. I know we kind of touched on it as we've talked, but okay, let's say somebody heard this and they say, man, this is really informative, but I don't know where to start. This is my day one, right here. What advice would you give someone? Like, because like you said, we can't just jump right in, So what advice would you give someone that maybe wants to make a change but just feels overwhelmed about how much work goes into it?
For me, I think is to make an honest assessment of, first of all, where you are. Know what your health issues are. And then, I know the most important thing for me was having an accountability partner. My medical team was my accountability partner. But to begin with an honest assessment of your level of commitment. And in order to know what your level of commitment is, you really have to understand what it is that you're going to have to do. If you know your struggle is going to be with meat, don't start with meat. Increase things like the vegetables and things that you like. I ate the same. I love sweet potatoes. I love beans. Things that I liked, I just increased them. That was it. Before I started venturing off on trying other things. I didn't know what a chickpea was. I had no idea what a chickpea was. My man was blown. I finally made it over here to Lafayette Road and went into the international market, and I just lost my mind. But I started off with those things that were familiar to me and just increased them. And then everything else seemed to like fall in place. That group that I was in, first it was the I Thrive group. These are Facebook's groups, I Thrive, but Forks Over Knives was actually my guide because we actually got meal plans, told me what to go to the grocery store to go buy, what things to prep on what day of the week, how to put it together and things like that. I made a commitment to follow that. And that was my guide. It helped me to know, what I should have, how it should be prepared. Because then we started entering into, I didn't know what a jackfruit was. I had never seen jackfruit a day of my life. But, hey, jackfruit became my friend. We did jackfruit chili. We did jackfruit in pulled pork, the old pulled pork sandwiches. You just pull it and make barbecue sandwiches and stuff. So I'm exposed now to other things. Come to find out, my Caribbean brothers and sisters know what jackfruit is, but I ain't doing it the way they doing it because that's a messy work to do. You can buy it in a can, $1.99. Somebody told me it's $2.49 now. I don't care. It's $2.49. I can still use that. The thing of it is, start with things that are familiar to you. And stay in the fruit section, stay out of down the aisles. That ain't done but temptation. That's all that is, because you're going to pick up stuff you don't need. You can still have something sweet, but you're going to have to learn how to cook without all that other stuff we like to put in. I was still eating sweet potato pie, but you better believe I wasn't putting all that sugar in that I was having and things like that. You just learn how to do things. Start with the familiar things. Learn how to expand that diet that you're familiar with. The different things that you can do with a sweet potato. Different things that you can do with the vegetables that you like. and then you can move forward. But if you can find yourself with people who are like-minded, and for me, Forks Over Knives was that group. If you can find that, they can help navigate the system. But you have to say, this is what I want to do, and be ready to make the commitment no matter what it is. Most of the times we think we want something until we get in there and realize that it's going to take work. It's going to take work. Like you said, you have support from your family, but so many people don't. It was heartbreaking to hear wives who wanted to make changes, but their husbands like, you ain't cooking that mess up in here, bring me with this, that, and that. And they were literally heartbroken because they couldn't afford to do both of them, you know. And so they had to abandon what was good for them. You know, some people don't want to see you get better. You better believe they don't want to see you get well. Because you know why? It's a reflection among them. They take it personally. That you're better, you don't say it, but they say it. Well, she thinks she better than me. No, she don't think that. You just don't have the same commitment, or you don't have feel like that you have the same need. She's in her lane, you stay in yours. It's just, I'm telling you, I'm either on the left or the right. I can't do no down the middle. Yes, ma'am.
I have a two-part question. Okay, what about seasoning, as far as healthy seasoning? And then the other question was with fruit. I'm noticing a lot of fruit don't have the seeds. And so is that something that we need to look for? I know I look for fruit with the seeds, like watermelon, oranges. I'm finding a lot of that, so.
Well, you know, everything is bioengineered now. And it's on the boxes. They'll let you know that things are bioengineered and everything. So, I don't know. Seasonings. We did tacos, and I learned to make my own taco seasoning. You know, a lot of things were changed because the two things I had to avoid was sodium and sugar. And so you begin to when you learn about the seasonings and the different herbs and different things like that, you learn how to incorporate them into your seasonings. So some of that stuff you're gonna have to throw to the side because it's got too much sodium in it. Altogether, it's got too much sugar in it. So, you know, but I can share some recipes. Like I said, if you go out there to Forks Over Knives, they just got about just everything out there that would tell you about the seasoning. The bioengineered, you just have to find some local farmers. If you're looking for things with seeds in it, find a local farmer. I can guarantee you they got seeds in there. I just got to notice it.
So I just kind of want to expound on what you were saying earlier about changing what you already do.
Mm-hmm.
That's big on what I tell my family, as in, you don't have to make drastic changes. Let's say you eat bread, right? But you eat white bread. I say change it up to whole grain.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do, I don't know, if you like to drink juice, just pay attention to how much sugar is in it, you know. And it's not necessarily just giving up everything, but like you said, it's making changes and making adjustments. And so eventually, it's kind of like going to the gym or anything else. Eventually, you'll start off small, and then as you educate yourself more, you'll become more committed, and you'll be more willing to make bigger changes.
You talked about the juice. That's one thing I tell people all the time. Stop buying orange juice. Get you some orange squeegees and put it in there. Stop buying orange juice. It's full of sugar. Buy grapefruit, whatever juice it is. Just do that. Just do that. I love applesauce, and I'm telling you, I hate to have to pare an apple and cook it and stuff, but it's too much sugar in applesauce off the shelf. So I make my own applesauce the way my great-grandmama used to make applesauce, and it tastes so much better.
Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty much it. Well, first off, I just want to thank you. We give her a round of applause for taking her time and sharing your journey and your knowledge with us. I feel like this is very important, and maybe in the future we could have a part 2 or something like that. Cause I feel like it's that key in our community. So if that's it, I guess we'll go ahead and close. But just thank everybody for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
For real. Thank you.
I really appreciated it. Oh, wait. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. It was easier than I thought.
I told you, once it start going,
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
yeah, it
Once
was
it
easier
start
than
going.
Very good. I'm gonna tell you something. I used to be 249 and a half. I had a heart attack 21 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Now,
Are you serious?
yeah, I was 249 pounds. I had a heart attack. I kind of was like upset because I used to be a 7-day Adventist. Okay? And they don't eat meat. All right. And
Sure don't.
once I got